Gospel reading comes out of the 21st chapter of Matthew, verses 33 to 44. Now, today's gospel reading is a very beautiful gospel reading, and it has a great message. If we can learn the message, live the message, you'd find that your life would be happier, you'd be more content, you'd be more appreciative with what you have, you'd have a tendency to give away more and share more, and if you're one of these people, then you would also hoard less. Now, today's gospel reading has three powerful symbols. And in order to understand the gospel reading, we have to identify the symbols and try to determine what those symbols represent. So let's take a look at verse 33, 34 of the 21st chapter of Matthew. See if we can identify the three strong symbols that are used. Jesus said to the chief priests and elders of the people, "Hear another parable. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard, put a hedge around it, dug a wine press in it, and built a tower. Then he leased it to tenants and went on a journey." Now, in order to understand those two verses and the rest of the gospel reading, we have to identify the symbols that are used. So together, let us see if we can determine what those symbols are. Give me one of the symbols. Landowner, give me another symbol. Give me another symbol. How'd you figure that out so fast? Now we have to figure out who these people are. In our relationship with God, and God is the owner of everything, the landowner is a reference to who? God. And God's vineyard is where? What's God's vineyard? The earth. That's God's vineyard. We're living on God's vineyard. And the last one, the tenants. Who are the tenants? Us. We're the people. Put this all on one slide to totally encapsulate what I'm talking about. Clearly, God's the landowner, and the earth is his vineyard. And all of us, without exception, we are tenants. You know what that means? We are nothing more than renters. A tenant literally translated means someone who holds on to something for a period of time. They showed up, and then they're going to leave, but they're not going to stay. And that's what we are. We're just tenants. No matter what you've acquired so far in your life, no matter what has your name on it in terms of ownership, guess what? It is not yours forever. There's a very interesting rule in real estate, which I enjoy this concept. It's actually a concept, not a rule. It's called an abstract of title. Now, a complete abstract of title, which can be very expensive because it takes a little bit of effort to acquire one, an abstract of title is a condensed history of your property that lists the current and all former owners of your property in this part of the country all the way back to William Penn. Now, William Penn was the original owner of this big chunk of land. He was given a big chunk of land by King Charles II of England. And the chunk of land he was given is identified as current Pennsylvania. Now, the land he was given stretched all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. New Jersey was still there, but it wasn't identified, that piece of state called New Jersey. Penn's Woods, William Penn's Woods, Pennsylvania, went all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. It was northern West Virginia, northern Maryland, northern Delaware, New Jersey, and southern New York, and Pennsylvania. That was all his land. Everything belonged to William Penn. So a complete abstract of title lists the current and all former owners all the way back to William Penn. Now, you might be thinking, that can't be right, because I built my house. No one lived in my house because I built it. Well, purely speaking, yes, a house, buildings are real estate. But purely speaking, true real estate is the land. The land was here from the creation of the world. When you look outside, you see that land outside, the green grass, the ground on the other side of that grass. That was here from the beginning of the world. Lower Borough was incorporated in 1959. It was officially identified, this tract of land, the border identified as Lower Borough. But this piece of land, called Lower Borough officially in 1959, was here in the 1700s, the 1600s, the 900s, the 800s. It's been here since the creation of the world, the piece of land called Lower Borough. Now, I'm going to tell you again what the real abstract of title is, because there's a little piece of it that I find absolutely amazing. And you're going to find amazing only if you grab onto it. An abstract of title, the good one, the thorough one, will list the current owner of your property and all former owners all the way back to William Penn. Every former owner of your property was someone who thought they would own that property forever. Now that means if you're the current owner of your property, what are you going to be in the future? You're going to be a former owner. If you are currently paying a mortgage, and when you make your last mortgage payment, the bank's going to give you a free and clear title because now you own your property. At least that's what you want, is a clear and free title. And when you get that title, if the banker says to you, this is yours forever, he's conning you. You better call him up on Monday and say, you're dead wrong. You got me paying for something that I'm not going to own forever. What he should say is, when you finish paying your mortgage and you receive this clear and free title, he should say, this is yours until you take your last breath. Because that's the way it is. You see, if you're holding on to your deed of your property that you work really hard to buy, if you got it in your fingers, the moment you take your last breath, someone's going to walk over to you and they're going to tug it out of your hands. Oops, excuse me. That's no longer yours. That might now be someone else's by inheritance or confiscation, but that now belongs to someone else. It's not yours. You just died. Ownership now has a big question mark on it, but it's not yours. We're tenants. That's all we are. That is extremely humbling when you realize that's all there is. This land here belonged to someone else before we got here. Your property belonged to many people before you bought it. It will belong to many people after you leave this earth. I was visiting a house one day some years ago, and it was a really nice house, but I noticed something very unique about this house. Didn't have any pictures on the walls, nothing on the walls. But I noticed that they had their pictures, all the pictures were on the carpeting leaning against the wall. So as the family wanted to show me their house, they were proud of it, they should have been, it was really nice. As they were walking around showing me their property, their house, I noticed all these pictures leaning against the wall, nothing on the walls. So I said to them, that's interesting. I've never seen that before. Why do you lean a picture against the wall? And they said, because we don't want to put any holes in the walls. And I shared with them the idea when we were having coffee a little later on, the idea of an abstract of title. I said to them, you don't want to put any holes in a wall. Guess what's going to happen? You're only saving those walls for the next owner. Because guess what he's going to do? He's going to put holes in the walls. He's going to tear down a wall. He's going to change the windows. He's going to change the doors. He's going to relocate something. He's going to redo the entire house because it's his. It's not yours. Why would you not put a hole in a wall to hang a picture? All you're doing is saving it for the next guy. You see, the abstract of title is a very humbling message. When you look at that slide, tenants, us, people, we have nothing here forever. Whatever you own, your house, your cars, your property, all you're doing is holding on to it for a period of time. When you realize that, you got to say to yourself, then why am I accumulating? If you're 50, 60, 70 years old, why do I keep accumulating and acquiring and filling up the house and putting so much stuff in my garage and my car's outside in the wintertime? For what reason? Because when you take your last breath and when you die, your body stays here, your soul goes to heaven. And all that stuff that you are accumulating, who gets it? Well, someone else will. Either the people you want to get it will get it, or someone else is going to come in and find a way to confiscate it. Or there'll be a big question mark and your land will be in probate for many years. It's difficult to say. All you know, it isn't yours. This is a powerful gospel reading. Every one of us is just here for a very short period of time. The geographical land called Lower Burl has been here absolutely forever. Identified as such starting in 1959. But before that, the land, as you see right outside those windows, all that land has always been here. The original owner of that land right outside these windows, which is now ours, deeded to Lowell Burrows Parish, St. Margaret Mary Parish, that belonged to William Penn. But before King Charles II gave it to him, it belonged to God, because the entire world was his. That's a humbling thing. If you want to be happier, maybe you're happy already, but if you want to be happier, more content, more appreciative, if you say to yourself, it feels good to give things to people, if you want to see your family members smile while you are alive, give them things now. Why hold on to it? Because all we know is this: we're just tenants. According to the abstractive title, when you take your last breath, everything you have, everything you acquired, everything you hold on to will now become the property of someone else.